Hey guys, okay, for your next three types of problems here, your next three problems are all the same type. It's multiplying rational expressions made up of linear expressions. Okay, so we see those plus signs in there now, right? You've got this guy and this guy. Okay, so I can't just cancel that 6 or that 2x or that 4 or that 12. I have to make sure everything is multiplied before I cancel it. Alright, so for this one, I'm going to actually factor something out. Okay, so let's say on the first term I have the 5 on top, right? Well, then I'm going to factor out a 2 out of the bottom, okay? So for here, I'm left with just an x, and then if I factor a 2 out of the 6, it would be x plus 3, because 6 divided by 2 is 3, okay? If you wanted to check that, you could multiply what I have on bottom here. It would be 2x plus 6, right? If you multiply that 2 by there and that 2 by there, right? Okay, so that's how I factored that out. And then that whole thing is times by another fraction, okay? I'm going to multiply a 4 out of that top one, right? 4x divided by 4 is just x, and then 12 divided by 4 is 3, so I'll have x plus 3 there. And then I have a 9 on bottom that I haven't done anything with yet. Okay, so now I can start factoring out bigger things, or canceling things out, right? So I have an x plus 3 on top and an x plus 3 on bottom. Since the parentheses look the exact same now, I can go ahead and cross out that whole parentheses, alright? Because they look the exact same inside, okay? And then I can look at everything else and say that, well, that 2 goes to 1 and that 4 goes to 2. Let me use a darker color, sorry. Okay, that 4 can go to 2, that 2 can go to 1. And I think that's all I can simplify. Alright, so now I'm going to have a 5 times a 2, which is 10, and then a 1 times a 9, which is just 9. So 10 over 9 is my final answer there. Alright, looks a little crazy. We're going to do another one. Don't worry about it. Really, you just want to make sure that you have anything that's added, you're going to put it like in parentheses, and you want to make sure the parentheses look the exact same before you do anything with them. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, so this one looks a little crazier. We're still just going to factor something out of each one, okay? Let's do, yeah, we'll keep this big. Okay, so we'll have x minus 7. There's nothing to factor out from there, right? That's just going to stay the same. But for the one on the bottom there, we can factor out a 3. And then in parentheses, we would have x minus 2, right? So all we're dealing with is that term right there. Okay, let's swap colors. Right. On top, I can factor out, right, we're doing this one. We can factor out a 9. So that in parentheses, I'd have x minus 2. And then on bottom, I can factor out a 7. It was 7x minus 49, right? So if I factor out a 7, I can do x minus 7, because 7 times 7 is 49. Alright? And then when I put everything together, you can say, well, I got an x minus 2 on bottom and an x minus 2 on top, so those go away. And then if there's nothing else over there, I can just pretend that x minus 7 is in parentheses. That goes away, because there's one on top and one on bottom. And then I've got a 3 that'll go to 1, and a 9 that'll go to 3. Alright, so then I think that's all I can reduce. So all I have left on top is a 3, and all I have left on bottom is a 1 times a 7, which is just 7. Alright, so my answer is 3 over 7. So I took all of this and I reduced it to 3 over 7, which is pretty crazy, but it's also kind of cool. Okay? So you can pause the video if you want, or I will just move on, and you can just move on with me. Here we go, number 6. Okay, this one looks a bit more like the first one we did. That last one we did is probably the most you would have to do for one problem. Okay, let's do this one. So I'm going to leave my 9 on top. There's nothing to factor out of that because there's only one term, right? But on the bottom, I can factor out a 7. So it would give me x, and then 56 divided by 7 would be an 8. So x plus 8 times, I have x plus 8 on top. Since that's the only thing on the top of that fraction, I can just put it in parentheses to make my brain process it easier. And then on bottom, I'll just leave my 3x. Okay, and then what am I going to cancel out here? Let's see, I've got an x plus 8 on top and x plus 8 on bottom, so those can go away. I've got a 3 and a 9, so that can go to 3, and then that 3 went to 1. And then all I have left on top is just a 3, and all I have left on bottom is my 7 times a 1 and an x. So 7 times 1 is 7, and then my x is just there left. So 3 over 7x is my answer. Okay, so now you can go do those 3 problems, and then I'll have one more short video about the last type of problem that'll get you 7 through 9.